last Saturday. Again, tough day over there with the weather and a good opponent. Tough loss. We did thought a little bit, but much better effort than the week before, just across the board as far as competing and doing some things a little bit more positively. We had 92 offensive plays, 442 yards, only 2 touchdowns. So that equates to basically for every 46 plays, we score a touchdown, which in your efficiency, you don't want. We didn't turn the ball over, so you don't have the negativity there, but you're moving the ball and not getting points. The field's 100 yards long. For every 221 yards, we score a touchdown. So we got to go up and down the field a couple times across that magic line. So, we had the ball in the first half at the 44, the 25, the 31. The last play of the half ends on the 19, is really on the 40-yard line. So 3 opportunities in the first half with nothing. All 5 opportunities in the second half. We go to the 9-yard line, get a holding penalty. All 6 opportunities. The 9, the 23, the 34, the 2, and then our 2 touchdowns at the end of the game. So we had some success moving it, but you got to score points, and we've always been, the only thing we've ever talked about other than W's is turnover ratio, what you're getting and giving up. We were +3 in turnover ratio, and the other thing we talk about is points scored and points given up. You can skew those stats, and hey, you have X percentage yards of this or that, and skew the yards. It's points. Points equate to W's, and possession of the ball equates to W's, and that's why we're on the wrong side of the ledger, is our inability to score. Running wasn't great. We had 162 yards rushing positive, but we had 40 negative yards. Didn't have as much balance as you want, and I really think with the weather and in the scoring zone, our inability to stay on schedule at the 35 and the 25-yard line, where we got to some 3rd and longs and 3rd and unmanageables, hurt us. Defensively, played a lot harder. We got a lot to clean up, a lot to improve on. Like I say, we did cause 3 turnovers. We're led by Marcus Oliver with 7 tackles. True freshman, played well. Ralph Green had 4 tackles, a sack, caused fumble, 2 tackles for loss. I think he was recognized by the Big Ten as one of their, co-freshman defensive players of the week. And that's Ralph had played his best game the week before against Wisconsin. So to back it up, back-to-back weeks against a good opponent, back-to-back weeks against good line of scrimmage teams, because both of those teams have quality offensive linemen and pride themselves. So I think we can see that Ralph and Darius Latham, some of those young guys, are gaining on it. So happy for those 2 guys. One's a true freshman, Marcus, and Ralph's a redshirt guy. Special teams had a punt block, second one of the year. Snap pulled us left on our short side. We're kind of directionally kicking, and our timing, placement, scheme a little bit off, and they have a really nice player, makes a great block off the backside. It's a 14-0 game. I think 7:20, 7:30 left in the second quarter. That gave them a short field. I think they got the ball on the 8 or 9 yard line, a 2-play drive to score. So that was a big play and a negative for us. We missed 2 field goals. I actually thought Mitch hit them well. Watching it on tape, the first one is rock solid. It's cold, snowy. Both those kicks were in the weather was about as bad as it could be, and the wind was blowing pretty, crosswind across. And the first one he played, and the wind kind of pushed it right into the bar. When you watch it on tape, it's well hit. You can see the ball push and just hit it, and missed it and hit it well. Came back to the next one and played for the wind to push it and didn't push it and just overplayed it. Another well hit, and I don't call it bad luck. He just hit 2 good kicks in tough situations and just barely missed it. No different when you got an open jumper and you take a good look and it hits the back of the rim. It's a good look, good swing, good shot, and doesn't go in. So got nothing against him. He's been a great player for us. We got nothing in returns. We really made no plays in the kicking game, and we had the 1 negative that hurt us. The players we recognized with winning championship performances on the offense, we had Colin Rohrig coming back off his back injury. Really did well and battled hard. Shane Wynn was solid for us, competed and played well like he does a lot of times. And then Kofi Hughes stepped up and had a really strong game for us. Finished with 9 catches, I think, for right at 120 yards. Was also good without the ball, and we recognized Kofi Hughes as our player of the game. Defensively, our performances, Ralph Green, Marcus Oliver that I mentioned, also TJ Simmons, Mark Murphy, we thought showed up and played well for us. Our player of the game was Ralph. Like I said, he was recognized by the Big Ten. Special teams, we had no winning performances. We did have the 1 error, and again, snap placement, pulling us to the short side. Collage of things made that thing a block. We got to clean that up. We had no winning performances. Nothing other than that play was horrible, but no one really stuck out at what we call a high level. Our offensive scouts Billy Ivan, again, fourth-year guy. Is doing a heck of a job for us, one of the best kids on our team, set to graduate this year, and he's been awesome every week and embraces his role. Down-the-line snapper for us and punt snapping and field goal snapping. Down-the-line O-lineman, it's been awesome. He's gotten that award about 4 times. Isaac Griffith also did a nice job for us. Actually kind of played a lot last week as our run-around quarterback. He plays receiver, but we used him. He played quarterback earlier in his career, and we used him some and really did a tremendous job for us in our prep. Defensive scouts, Michael Plogel, who plays on special teams, backup for us as our fullback, and Ben Bach. So that wraps up that one. And now, again, we're sitting here 4-7. Purdue coming up, rival game. And a lot of people say that, but we are blessed to have, as a team, a very strong rival, quality opponent, with fans that know each other and dislike each other in every sport. And you're very, very lucky when you have that. So for our seniors, sitting here 4-7, a chance to one, bucket week, senior week, have your best week. Got, again, 10 true seniors, and we'll have some fourth-year guys that I think are potentially on track. And in talking with them, I think some of these guys are going to graduate early that are kind of spot playing or not playing a lot that we'll recognize here as our seniors this week. But the real deal is an opportunity to play Purdue. I know this year, record-wise, you can say they're struggling if you look at their record, but when you look at them on tape, I know their coaches, know a lot of them well, have competed against them and respect them. You watch how they played here recently, again last week. I mean, defensively flying around, offensively looked like we did several years ago with some young players, and they're getting better, competing. They had an opportunity last week to get a W, so I like the way their team's playing. I think it's going to be a challenge. Again, we're sitting here 4 wins, needing 5. We're not going to be a bowl team. We need to have success, have a great week, and put ourselves in position to have our best week of practice and our best play against our rival. And as much as anything, prepares coaches and prepares a total team to have a good week and wrap up a season where we've made some strides, but still cosmetically short where we want to be. We've made some strides, and we need to have a good week and finish this thing on a positive note. And again, a lot of seniors have done pretty daggone well for us, so we need to get those guys out here. But tough challenge. Rival challenge, and no matter where you are, you throw out the records and do all those coaching cliches. We need a great crowd here. Our students are on break this week. I know they're opening the dorms back. We need those guys here, and I think after being home all the way through Thanksgiving, they'll want to get back in here on Friday and get rolling. So we need a big crowd. We need our alums here. It looks like the weather is going to cooperate, push into the upper 40s. I think we've got a little of this cold November nip out of the way, and we can get a little late push of good weather. And again, a chance. I know Big Ten Network a year ago went through rivals and rated the rivalries in the Big Ten, and the Oak and Bucket's the third one. For us, it's the game. And again, I don't do a lot talking about red letter games and circling games and goals, but when you're building your program, you want to have success against your rival. And so in our time, we've came up short, and we need to have a good week and play as well and give ourselves a chance to see if we can be in position to win the game this week. Questions?
Now that you've been here a few years, do you feel that rivalry more personally than you did maybe your first couple of years?
Well, I mean, no matter who you are, and as when you're trying to build your program, again, we don't publicize or talk even a lot to our team, but there's certain goals or standards and things you're shooting for. And again, we don't red letter games and circle, but every time you meet someone, it's like, hey, blah, 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 and beat Purdue. So, the fans embrace it, and we've got so many Indiana kids here, and I think the teams that do well in this game, whether it be, again, here or the Purdue teams, it's the teams that embrace the week and the players, it's the preparation and the physical and the emotional and the mental side of getting prepared to have a strong week. So there's a lot of great rivals, and there's a lot of them this week that are played. And again, for us as a senior team, and in year 3, sitting here 4-7, and to some degree cosmetically disappointed where we're at, we got a chance to finish on a strong note against a strong opponent, a rival opponent. I think it's a great opportunity. So again, I got a lot of respect for their coaches, have competed against them at other places, but now that we're the in-state deal and you're going to recruit against them, and really as much as anything for our seniors and for our fans, because I know it's a big game really for so many people in the state.
How important is it to have that rivalry game this week, especially since you don't have that bowl goal in front of you anymore? To make sure that nobody loses.
And there's certain rivals during the year, but, across the board, there's a lot of them. This is a lot of, in-state rival week, whether it be Clemson, South Carolina, or Florida State, or UCLA, USC for years. I remember this back when you were in our era, there was only, quote, one game on, and the best week was really the Thanksgiving week, because you'd see, Oklahoma and Nebraska play, and then Alabama, Auburn play, and then you watch the Southern Cal SC game, the Ohio State, they were all, quote, the games. And in our state, this is the game. I've been very fortunate as a player coach that almost every school I've been at not only has had a rival, but it's actually been a strong one. And a lot of people talk about rivals, but some of them aren't strong. This is a strong rival one, and they've had their fair share of wins and won a lot more than we have. So in building our team, we got to rise our team up and compete and have a good week and do what we can to put the eye on the link for us this week. But as a player and as a coach, you will remember a lot of games, a lot of memories, but your rival games and the rival games you win are going to mean a lot. So again, I got a lot of respect for some seniors. I got a lot of respect for our football team this year. I got some kids I think have done well for us, given us a lot, and it would be awesome to have our best week of preparation. And that's all I'm asking for, is our best week of preparation, then to go out and play as well as we can, see if that'll be good enough Saturday.
You talked about strides that you guys made. I guess, just standing here now, where do you feel like, where do you feel like the strides were made? What kind of progress have you seen this year, basically, and where do you feel like you?
Except for one game we competed, reasonable. I thought last week we competed okay, came up short a little bit, but you saw. I didn't like the Wisconsin fight in our team and the way we handle it. I was looking today, I think on the, on stats yesterday on the NCAA. If you go to NCAA.org and look at their stats, they got a thing called trends, and on strength of schedule, we got the number 2 schedule in the country right now. I mean, our opponents, since our open day, have a record of 80-30, and we've lost to 11-0, 10-1, 10-1, 9-2. We're upset we didn't beat an 8-3 team. We're upset we didn't beat a 7-4 team. So we're right there, kind of playing winning football, and we're on the short end of making a play, making a stop, doing a better job coaching, doing a better job playing to get a W. Want to be sitting with the chance to be a 6-win team or be sitting on 6. Played pretty well at Michigan and came up short. Didn't play well defensively, but had a chance. So, where I think we made strides, we got to make strides on scoreboards and we got to make strides on W's. But the best stride that we've made is that every day in our building is a positive day with our guys. And there's no negativity and there's no complaining and there's no finger pointing. And our guys give us a good go, and our guys have bought into our values and the way we want to live and the way we want to work. And so the best thing I do is every day the guys down the hallway you work with and the players in the locker room and on the field you coach with are giving you a lot. And then I got to go back, and that's what I was kind of saying last week, then I got to look at myself. What am I doing in overall managing if we're coming up a little bit short? Margin of error is not great. We've had some injuries, and we have played a reasonably competitive schedule. But at the same time, we've gotten where we've competed. We've looked in the eye, and right now we've came up a little short. We've got to look another team in the eye this week and play as well as we can and see if we can get to 5. And it's not going to be easy. We're going to have a really good week to get that one. But until we get scoreboards, it's all subjective and it's all rhetoric.
This senior class obviously was sophomores, redshirt freshmen when you got here. How are you going to remember this group of guys, what they did and just, what they did for the program?
Well, there's 10 of them, a couple of JCs, really about half the crowd they came in with that kind of went by the wayside. And where I think these guys are different to me, like I talked to them, I got as much respect. When we have success moving forward, I would draw back to this crowd about as much as any because of what they went through and their ability to hang in there and stay with us and believe and buy in and then give us a great go. And again, I've had the opportunity for several years at different places and different degrees of successful and not successful years in coaching. This has been one of my more successful years in relationships with guys because I think we've got our guys are dialed into what we're trying to do. And that's where, again, I go back then as a coach and we go back to player development and recruiting. What do we got to do to keep building and branding and get over the hump because we're just short of the hump. But those guys have bought in and pushed. And like I say, there was no coming off the field in spring preseason, give me that one again. There's a couple plays on the field, make a play, call a different play, call a different defense, make a tackle, and you get a stop or two, and you're a play or two from being where we want to be, that next ring of being a winning team and a bowl team. So we've came up short of that one. We didn't put a lot of pressure on ourselves. Like I said the other day, we didn't really talk, we got to be a bowl team, we got to be a bowl team. We talked about getting better, getting better, getting better. We talked weeks ago, if you're ready to retire, do you like the money you have? Have you given up and don't want to work anymore, or you want to work as hard as you can these last 3 or 4 weeks and make as much money as you can before you take off in your retirement? And I've always been about, you're going to work as hard as you can and cash in as much as you can. And those guys have bought into that. So again, a lot of respect for these seniors. And really, if you look at some pretty good players, you got the all-time kick leader, who the other day missed his first 2 field goals a year on 2 pretty good kicks. You got a tight end that's going to hold every record. You got 2 other receivers with 1,000 yards, and Kofi Hughes playing as well as anyone. And then you've got some complementary players. Griffin Dahlstrom, who's been injured this year, he was starting for us, actually tore his groin, had to have a surgery repair. You guys hadn't asked about him. He's been out and trying to get him back this week. He's missed about 6 weeks, but was starting and spot playing early. Did a good job for us last year. Jakari Alexander's played some spot play, been a great special team guy. So there's different levels of guys. Greg Heben has been awesome. Great, another pick the other day. And so, there's a core group of 6, 7 guys that have, to me, given us a good go and set a tone like Will Maddie and Adam Raplogo did. Last year we had 2 that were really, this year we got about 6 or 7 stronger, really good players that are really good leaders. And it's moving the direction you want. And when you have a really good team, you'll have a really solid core. We're getting there.
You talk about, are you prepared to tell us who some of the 4-year grads who might be?
Well, I'm going to wait, and I guess we'll just get what Jeff made to put like a little press release out.
Is it not already? Sorry.
Yeah, and my deal too. Now, some of those guys, I'm not sure I want to ask them, because to me, if you do this for 4 years, you've earned. It's a phenomenal amount of. And trust me, there's no one any more frustrated when you come up short than those guys who've been 4 years of all in, running, lifting, busting their tail, smashing their faces, really committing a lot of time and effort for a few opportunities. Like I shared with the guys at Herm Edwards, I saw in a talk I gave to a team. You play very little football. You practice and work a lot for a few days. And I can't make these guys participate in senior day, but they've had the right to be treated as a senior. Here's Kofi Hughes, plays as a freshman, and we got some other guys been redshirted, but they're on track to graduate. And you're sitting here, hey, a couple of those guys are graduating Kelly School of Business. And do I want a 5th year when my role hadn't been that big? Do I want all that summer lifting and winter getting up at 5:30 and 6 in the morning running? Do I want to smash heads 15 days? Do I want 29 preseason days? And my role not be a huge role. At the same time, to me, everyone I talked with, they are part of us helping us build a winning culture, because there's been very minimal, if any, issues with any of these guys. They're all set to graduate everywhere. Some of these guys are already graduated now. All the 5th-year guys are graduated or will be done by mid-year, and all the 4th-year guys are set to be graduated by spring semester. And some of them are out of eligibility, like Kofi, and then some other guys that aren't playing much have just, and I kind of put it on them. Like, here's the workload, here's the routine, here's your role. Do you like it? Do you want more of it? And all I ask, if they want to stay with us, I need you to give us your best, have a great attitude, be a positive senior. And at the same time, when you're working hard and you're not having a lot of personal success, some of these guys are just like, I'm ready to move on. And with that, I'm like, hey, then that's good for you. Trust me, I respect you. And we're going to bust our tail forever to help you anyway down the road. And you now have the right to be treated as a senior. So whether we make the announcement on senior day, we honor them when we do our banquet and recognize them and give them the accolades. Because to me, someone that does this 4 years is a true senior.
I guess the only guy enlisted, I don't want to say surprised me a little bit, I wasn't just sure about Chase's situation. Was that just a physical thing?
I think the physical deal, and he was one of the first ones. He came in, he's almost like he's apologizing. Like, hey, no, you're not quitting. Mm-hmm. Your body hadn't held up. You actually started. He started in the Ohio State game, 2011, our first year, had 6, 7, 8 starts, and a good player. And then last year through the year, had the injury, came back, had an ankle sprain this spring, caused some sprain. Looked great in summer, I was told, and about a week before it turned into a stress fracture. And he was the first one, and it's just, it's what he wanted, and I didn't disagree with it, and I wouldn't have been mad if he wanted to come back. I just think workload, that's where he was at and what he thought.
As far as, current guys, how far has Tevin come along? Basically, are you sounded Saturday kind of positive?
He's again, we got him doing all the running stuff, and there's different levels, whether you're doing it in the, we've got like what's called a zero gravity treadmill, where they can put your body weight to certain percentages and get you 50 or 60 or 70 or 80%, and builds the weight up on your ankle. So he's running on that and running in our pool. And I just saw him, he said, he sounded good, but until we get out there really practicing, now he's really in rehabbing at a high level. and I know he wants to get back, but you know, we're not going to put him in a bad situation. We'll just see how it goes. I know he's working at it hard. He's yet to, quote, truly practice. And he plays a position, though, with speed and cuts. It's an ankle sprain, and we'll see how it goes. I think he's played enough and a good enough player that I don't think we need him practicing, you know, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, every play. I think he's a veteran. I think he's good, and if he is at a high level, then I would expect him to play. If he's not at a high level and he can't play full tilt, we're not going to put him in a position where he could do any damage to himself or not, quote, be productive and play well. So it's not like he needs to, quote, practice tomorrow, but I think as we go through the week, we'll see, and it's looking better. I still think it's going to be a little bit of a stretch, you know, shot to say it's probable or questionable. I mean, I know he's working hard, pushing. It's the last one I know he wants out there, and he's trying to get there. We'll see how it goes.
Just to clarify, are any of these like fourth-year juniors who are going to go through the senior day ceremony, if they're listed here, they're almost certainly not going to come back?
Yes.
For a fifth year?
Yes, and they've been redshirted, and they're again, the way we've got every player here, because we started in our time where we're playing freshmen, so you know, right away, so we have everyone on a 4-year track to graduate. So we're using our summer school hours and our loads. Like, we typically are getting guys about 33 hours a year, and you need 120 to graduate. So we got guys going into senior year sitting on 96, 99 hours going into, like Stephen Houston graduated a year ago, and he's had a year of some postgraduate. And so Greg Heben's in grad school. So we've got all our guys on 4-year plans. So now here you are, and you're, you know, a backup. You know, Paul Phillips has been a backup tight end. Matt Zacheski is actually our fullback that we use, although we don't use it in goal, and he plays on our kickoff return team. Pete Bachman has been a backup tackle and spot play. He plays on our field goal team. He plays on our punt team. And so some of those guys have different degrees of roles where they're playing but not playing a lot. Do you want the commitment of a 5th year and do all this work again if your role isn't, you know, I'm Jason Spriggs and I'm starting every play. I'm you know, Stephen Houston last year, and I expect to be playing a lot. You know, he ends up splitting time, but I'm playing a lot. I come back for my 5th year. So every guy has been different each year. We've talked to them. A year ago, Charles Love was in a situation. Charles, Teddy Bolzer's a tight end. You're going to be a complimentary tight end. Do you want that role as a 5th year player? Do you want to graduate? Because he could have graduated after 4. I want the role as a 5th year player. And all I ask is that you're going to work hard, follow team rules, and be a positive senior team leader. And so those guys are set to graduate, and it's kind of each one's, you know, we hit them before the season starts. Hey, let us know, you have this option, do you want the 5th year? And then as the year goes, and then, you know, and matter of fact, I think a year ago, I wasn't, after the season is when Lawrence Burnett and Jamon Chester told me they did not want to come back after the season. I've had some guys that told me, I'm not coming back, but I don't want to participate in senior day, because those aren't my seniors. My buddies are the other guys. My career hadn't worked out. I got a bad back. I've been injured, whatever. I'm not playing much. So it's just kind of it's just roster management. You know, the nice thing is all those guys are graduating, and you know, you got 4 years on scholarship, and you got an IU degree.
Yeah, one more
And they've been positive guys. That's to me the one thing when I talk to all of them. There's not been one guy I say, we have issues. No, you've given us a good go. And there's different degrees of talent and competition and injury that's taken guys, where some guys' roles have been real strong and some guys' roles have been minimal.
One game left in your 3rd year. Just looking back to how it was the day that you got here, what were your thoughts on your development of the program from then to where it is now with 1 game left and just kind of for the future?
To me, the only thing is just our lack of W's. And which is ultimately all it's about too now. So we can talk about graduation rates and all these guys graduate. I think we'll reset our record for all academic Big Ten guys, and our academic performance has been pretty good. I think that'll come out. You know, I think our recruiting's gotten a little better, but it still comes back to putting guys in position, developing players, and winning ball games. And right now we're sitting at 4-7, and we got to play out our best week and give ourselves a chance to beat Purdue and see if we can etch it to 5. That would be 3 Big Ten wins. It's a little bit better. 4 goes to 5. It's a little bit better. And even if it got 5, got to 6, it's better. It's still not what you want. We're still a work in progress, and we're never going to have it because you never get it. You're working to get it. And as soon as you get it, it's fragile, and it's so easy to go. You can look at teams in our league that are there, and then all of a sudden not. It's hard to maintain. It's competitive. It's tough. You know, our margin of error is going to be slight, and that's where, again, to me, our strength of schedule has been strong. Yeah, I come back and look at me. What can I do in managing our program, developing players, coaching, and doing a better job of coaching to help these kids that now, like I was talking with David, with these guys are giving us a good go. And you got players that are giving you a good go. Let's find a way to get the W's you need and keep edging. So I think we're changing the culture. We still need to get to more W's. I think that will change the outside culture, the fan base, the attendance, the student body. I think we just need to win. And I got to look as a coach to keep doing things we can to get those W's.
Just real quick, just what impresses you about Purdue, basically?
To me, transition's tough. And, I watch their offense playing so many young guys, and they've got some injuries, and it reminds me of our first year. You got a freshman quarterback out there running around. It's tough, and I know their coaches and what they're doing to manage those guys. I'm watching their defense the last couple, 3 weeks flying around, battling, playing hard, and they got some athletes. So they've played like ourselves. If you look at, matter of fact, a couple weeks ago, they were first on that list of toughest schedule. I think they've now fallen to 4th in the country in toughest schedule. So their non-conference schedule, who they've had to play in the Big Ten. But again, to me, when you watch tape and watch guys play, the first thing you're judging on a team is their effort. That shows to me their buy-in, their attitude. So I'm impressed with their effort and attitude. I know the guys that have been recruited, they got some skill. They've got speed. Again, they've came up short, and but to me, when you play this game, you throw all that out. And I expect it to be a dogfight, and I expect we're going to need to play our best if we have to have an opportunity.
Yeah, when you talk about, managing players and doing a better job coaching, what needs to change going forward defensively for this team? Is it players? Is it the way
We're playing a lot of those young guys now, so I do think, like we said a week ago, I thought our offense was very, very poor, and when we first started, and they've gotten a little better. Now we've had a little tailspin the last 2 weeks, but those young guys have grown up. You still don't have a senior offensive lineman, and you're playing first year with 2 true freshman linemen. The second year you got 2 true freshmen, two sophomores. Now this year you have no seniors, and you basically got your whole right side haven't played. So you're still a work in progress, and you think the offense has gotten there. It's still a work in progress. I think that way defensively. I think it's a work in progress. Baylor got worked the other night. Baylor a year ago was 123rd in the country in total defense. And the same players and the same coaches this year, they were 4th or 6th in the country, I think it was, going to that game last week. So, again, to me, before I start saying, hey, it's players, because you can always blame players, well, these are guys I'm recruiting. To me, when you go year 3, you're part of the problem, you're part of the answer. And I've always been trying to be more about what I could control instead of, what I couldn't. Here's the cards. Like my original boss told me years ago, every hand's a winner. You got to know how to play the cards, the old Kenny Rogers song. And sometimes you're bluffing, but you got your cards, and you got to play your cards. And so I got to look at how we're playing our cards, how we're developing our cards. I got to look as an offensive coach that I'm doing things that gives us a chance to create a stronger defensive culture. And and to me, everything starts with me in our hallway. And then from there, it'll go through the weight room, and from there it'll feed into the locker room, and then eventually it gets with players we recruit and all that deal. But when I talk about, again, I don't think, our practices, and those of you that get a chance, Coach Harbaugh was in town last week. He was taking care, I think, was in town with his grandkids. And he asked to come over to practice. He was at our Wednesday practice, and after, he popped over and we was having lunch with him. He said, that's as good a spirited and hard-working practice as I've seen in a long time, in this time of year. And so that's why I go back to player buy-in. I like the way these guys are working. So if the kids are giving you a good go, keep developing the kid physically, keep developing mentally, keep developing the culture, and then keep getting the product better by trying to recruit better players to complement as you go forward.
That was Jack Harbaugh. Aye.
Yeah.
Coach, as you guys hit recruiting season December and January, I know you can't talk about players, but your last 10, 11 spots, are there positions where you're really going to focus on?
Yeah, one good question is when this game is over, we're basically in a 2-week period of contact. Actually, I think it goes through Sunday, December 15th. Then starting December 16th to January the 16th, we're back to a dead recruiting period. Can't see anyone, and no one can come see you. That's with the holidays, bowl season, and our national convention, which this year, our national convention is held in downtown Indianapolis. So all the great administrators and coaches, and even Buck will have a chance to get up there and make that one and see his old buddies. So, but and it's an honor for our state and our city. It's, that convention center will be a great host. like it's going to be for the Big Ten championship game coming up with those two teams in a couple weeks. So anyway, we've got a dead period for a month, and then we got 3 weeks then, end of January 16th, basically 2.5 weeks of active recruiting till signing date. Now with 10 spots, 10, 11, the maximum number you can sign this year is 25. That's not us, that's new NCAA rule. There is no more over-signing. You can sign 25 is the most you can sign. And I'm looking at schools on paper right now, they got 27, 28, 30 commitments. Now, you can sign, if I had 82 guys on scholarship, right now I've got 85 guys on scholarship because we gave scholarships to walk-ons. If I had 82 guys on scholarships and did not use them for the fall, I could bring in a kid mid-year and count him backwards. If you're at 85, everyone counts forward. And going forward, all you can have is 25. So the only way you can improve your roster by more than 25 is if you have spots open moving forward. So these teams are close. There's no over-signing and all that kind of deal. So if you sign someone, you're betting on him making it. Last year we had a couple guys come up short and didn't qualify. 2 are in JCs right now. One's trying to make it on his own. The 2 JC guys will need to complete JC before they come back. It takes 2 years to do that. So you got 25 spots. We're sitting, with commitments a little bit more than halfway done right now. With our graduates and the early graduates and the walk-ons that we give a scholarship to, it's 1 year. And then you re-earn it back. So we're able to use, it's unused money. So we're able to use that. So even though we have on paper only 10 true seniors, it's a small senior class, we will still be able to this year sign 23, 24, 25 guys. And you got 1 senior on defense and you got 3, 4 on offense. You got a lot of guys coming back. You're seeing some of these freshmen play very high on Chris Smith, Chase Dutra, some guys you haven't seen yet. So again, this class, we didn't take any O-linemen last year. We do need a few this year, even though we're not losing any, but we'll probably take 3 or 4. You don't want to wait till afterwards. You need to groom them a year in a perfect world and not play them as freshmen. We'll probably take 3 or 4 D-linemen. If we take more than that, it needs to be an upper level special guy, because I think where we need help is corners, safeties, backers, and maybe a receiver too. I think our skill guys. I think when the game gets in space, our abilities to make tackles one-on-one, we've got some guys blitzing unblocked. We had one the other day. We got an unblocked guy on a guy, make the tackle, loss at 2, he misses it, and he gets out, and the next play they score. And you should have them on schedule. So to me, it's some skill guys. We'll look at JC players, but I'm not convinced, unless we see enough tape and the guy's a good enough kid that he really can impact us. Ryan Thompson's playing a little bit here at the end of his 2nd year. So is Jacob Bailey and Wes Rogers, and they've got 3 more years. And so to have a little bit more time on task, so to say like, hey, you need to improve a certain position, go take it JC. We are looking at junior college players, but I need to make sure we do a greater job of eval and get guys that really could impact us. So to me, it's some defensive skill and a couple offensive guys, a tight end, a receiver, a couple guys down the stretch. Anything else, guys?
With you talked about the JC guys, Daryl and Taj Williams, are those guys not going to make it? Do you know about them yet?
I don't know if I can talk about names since they're not being vague on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not sure if that goes back to.
Yeah, I need you. I don't know. I don't think I can say a name of what a guy can or can't do.
No, they can't. Okay.
So I for what it's worth. So just there's if a person's at a JC as a non-qualifier, he must graduate. If you go to a prep school, or like I remember I had a kid one time that was 1 point short of the test. He just took the test in October and took it again in November, made his point, started school in January. He didn't enroll in school till January. So, if you're well off, or there's no way mathematically you think you can make it by improving a test score, once you graduate, your GPA is locked in. The only thing you could improve is your test score. And if it looks like you couldn't get the test to make that sliding scale where you want, you look at JC routes. A kid going to prep school is saying he's close enough, he thinks he can make it, if that makes sense. He just came up just a little short. Appreciate you guys' coverage now. Let's have a good one this week and wrap it up good here at Purdue.
Four quarterbacks on scholarship next year. Do you foresee any changes with that?
To me, I think the only thing that I've done is talk to some 4th-year guys, especially if they weren't. I did talk to some 4th-year guys that are playing like, you are planning on a 5th year. Colin Rohrig, do you want your 5th year? I haven't talked to anyone about position changes or or others, but I do think as the season ends, we'll have 2 weeks of recruiting. Our kids will be here for 2 weeks and then final exams. And we'll start some of our all-season prep work with the guys, but from there, you know, that's where I don't know how much we're going to do because we got to start recruiting until we get back December 16th and really have time to really eval the season. I think we got a great opportunity Saturday against Purdue, and everything's all into that. And then you're packing up Sunday and you're going 14, 15 days chasing the best players you can. Then I think you got a chance to sit back and talk about, you know, your team and moving forward and what happens in January. And I don't, you know, in fairness to players and all that, like I said, we've kind of put it week by week. And like I said, right now, this is a big, big week for us. And appreciate you guys. Have a good Thanksgiving. If you want to cover the Turkey Bowl, all the kids will be out here about 11:30 on Thanksgiving Day now. So if you want some good coverage now, it's the best game of the year, is the coaches' kids' Turkey Bowl game, 11:30.